All right, might as well jump into it. It's been a little messy this morning, you guys and gals, and I apologize for that, but hopefully we've got the kinks worked out. Gotta just know if I sound all right. I think I sound better in my end, and we're back. And I'm just curious to know real quick, how's the audio sounding? Is it still sound tinny and like or does it sound like it's actually coming through the microphone properly? Let's find out and get to the stuff. We are going to jump in. I've got an actual plot breakdown courtesy of Reddit, so we can go through and kind of play it back beat by beat. Only I promise I won't keep you here for 2 hours and 40 minutes. Let me know, though. Please do me the favor. Let me know if the audio sounds any better, if it's improved quality from the last time. Sounds better. Thank you very much, Nick Mayfield. Then we're off to the fucking races, baby. Let's go ahead and jump into this thing. I've spent plenty of time trying to get the ball rolling, and now that it's rolling, let's keep it rolling. Let's keep that momentum and that inertia just woo. That means we're going to keep it running smooth from this point forward. Oh, yeah, man. So I just went and saw Eternals yesterday, and it was released this is Sunday at the time that I'm doing this live stream. I went and saw it Saturday at 3 p.m. in IMAX, and theater was packed. It was about 90% occupancy. There's the that area down in the front, the floor, I suppose, where nobody fucking sits. That was the only thing that wasn't full. I went down there the other day. I went and saw a movie called Antlers, and I was like, let me just see what the screen looks like from down there. And I went and sat in the front row of the theater, and I'm just like staring up, and you can't even see the whole image at one time. You gotta like almost like you're reading from left to right. Not a great experience. Couldn't possibly be ideal. And I imagine in IMAX it's gotta be even worse, right? It's just like a bright, like you're just staring at the crotch of a character. Like, fuck, I wish I could see the whole thing, but I'm stuck looking at their dick. This sucks. But anyway, so yeah, I don't blame people for not sitting down in that section. I want to give a quick shout out to everybody that stopped by to be a part of this conversation this fine morning. Paul Brailsford, welcome to the conversation. Always love to see new faces. And Venice Beach Sports Network. Always good to see familiar faces as well, my man. Thank you very much for stopping by. And that goes for you as well, Spy Eye Clom, Leo, everybody. Good to see you. Good to see you. Venice Beach Sports Network said I had no connection to the characters, and by the third act wanted them all to die and just big dude born out of the planet. Yo, I get where you're coming from. The character work done in this movie, the character development, the way the characters were written in this movie was so thin that it made it very difficult to give a shit about anything that happened outside of the context of knowing these characters from other things. Like, of course I want to see good things happen for Robb Stark, especially after the Red Wedding. Doesn't play out that way, but because I like Angelina Jolie, I'm like, okay, Athena, cool. Because I like Brian Tyree Henry, I'm like, okay, whatever that guy's name is, cool. Druig is the MVP, but we'll talk about all that stuff here in just a little bit. He was by far my favorite part of this fucking movie, though. What a gangster ass power to have. But anyways, okay, so this is according to the Eternals Master spoiler thread on Reddit. It's r/Marvel Studios spoilers. And if you want to play along, that's a way to do it. These things are very handy dandy, and they help keep everything organized for me. So shout outs to everybody in that community that's helped keep this thing updated and accurate and all that kind of stuff. So I do agree with you, Venice Beach Sports Network. That is a very fair question. And then Paul, so here's a question, food for thought. Are MCU films now becoming mere adverts for future shows and therefore Disney Plus? I would venture to say yes. I don't think that's a very new thing, though. It's so sickening being right up there. I'm sure it is. But we are going to talk about that, Paul. I think that's going to be the big crux of the conversation, is sort of the Disney marketing machine, the Disney brand, or the Marvel brand, and the strength in that. So we'll circle back around. We're going to start this thing off like I typically do, with a kind of play-by-play of what happened through the movie, my general thoughts as we go through it, and then we'll finish it up with obviously questions, topics submitted by you, as well as some of the like standout character bits and where we think the MCU is going to be moving forward. So yeah, I'm excited about the future of this franchise. I tend to stay invested in it, and even though I didn't love this movie, I think there's plenty to enjoy about it. God, I heard somebody else say Marvel made their first DC movie, and I get it. Like, that to me, that is my blurb in a nutshell. Marvel made their first DC movie for lots of reasons, which we'll dive deeper into it. But just first, like, this more somber, meditative exercise in, do superpowered beings have any obligation to humanity? Are people worth saving? These are the kind of things that Zack Snyder was very interested in with his Man of Steel trilogy, and I think we see a lot of those same existential kind of philosophical questions pondered in this movie, sometimes to better effect, sometimes it was a lot more shallow. So I think that there's something there. It just didn't quite get there for me, and that kind of speaks to the movie as a whole. Like, there was stuff there that I was into, but for the most part, overall, I had to overlook a bunch of bullshit to appreciate the things that I did like about it. So, and that's a first, man. For the most part, I really go and enjoy these Marvel movies. There's been 2 or 3 experiences that didn't quite nail it for me, and I know 2 of these things not very controversial. The third one is probably gonna induce some groans from some people, but I didn't care for Captain Marvel. I didn't really care for Ant-Man and the Wasp. Eternals I didn't particularly care for, and then the other one, and I know that it's a much more controversial take, and I actually appreciate it more after a rewatch, but Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 did not slap for me in the same way that I would have hoped that it did. Just personal preference, maybe where I was feeling at that particular time, but it just felt like it was playing the greatest hits. It felt false to me, y'all. Yeah, man. Sound has definitely improved. Good. Yeah, I couldn't in all honesty sit and do a podcast like that and make y'all listen to that shit the entire time. Shout out to everybody in the chat. TMS SMT, Mike's a bit weird today. Oh damn. It should sound better. It should sound better. King of the Hills 34. What's up, dude? Samuel wants to know where the Eternals might appear next, since no sequels are planned. I heard that Harry Styles is actually attached for 5 films. One of them could potentially be an Eternals sequel. I know we got a very interesting cameo at the very end in the second post-credit scene, which could indicate what the future of the Eternals franchise looks like, but I'm having a hard time seeing how this connects really directly to fucking anything or anybody. And is that a problem? I mean, yeah, it kind of is. When you set up your whole cinematic universe to have all this interconnectivity, it's kind of unfortunate when it felt so detached. I don't know. Somebody talk to me about the microphone. Somebody talk to me about the microphone other than TMS SMT. Like, that's probably the most accurate take, but I want somebody to tell me something good. If it sounds like ass, I apologize. You should have heard it a moment ago, like 15 minutes ago. It was bleak. It was not a good situation. So I was feeling good about my my mic situation. Now I'm insecure again. I feel like I went to school with no pants on. Feel like I went to school with no pants on again. Anyways, so the Eternals obviously are ageless protectors that have lived on Earth for thousands of years, or if you listen to Double Toasted, 7 centuries. Because apparently a century is 1,000 years now. That's the new conversion, so deal with it, people. It's something about daylight savings. I don't fucking know math, right? The Deviants, on the other hand, they're these big dinosaur-like CGI monsters, the things the Eternals are protecting humanity from. If you've seen the trailers, but you haven't seen the movie, what the fuck are you doing here? Hey, glad you're here. And if you don't care about it, it's not exactly like this is the Sixth Sense or something, or like the ending's gonna ruin the movie for you. But yeah, I thought the Deviants look cool, but even by the trailers, I'm like, it's almost like we're big game hunters, or like the Eternals are like going out and killing lions and tigers and bears. Oh my, I don't like that. I think that Eternals should be nice to all living creatures. That's my utopian worldview. But yeah, I just thought they were a little like, It reminded me of Avatar, and like it seemed weird to be killing animals, like as that's a heroic thing. I don't know, whatever. Celestials, mechanical looking space gods, creators of both the Eternals and the Deviants. Importantly, they are not omnipotent or immortal. So while they are ancient and they are gigantic celestial beings, they are also not completely immortal, which is interesting. In the Marvel universe, like, there's a lot of very, very powerful beings, but even the most powerful seem to have some sense of mortality to them, which is, you know, it's pretty cool. And then we've got Gemma Chan's character Cersei, who's an Eternal who lives with a human boyfriend, kind of possibly maybe the unofficial lead of the film, has the power to modify matter, change the material and of things that are made. So yeah, Cersei, played by Gemma Chan, is definitely, for all intents and purposes, the protagonist of this film. It opens up, she's dating Kit Harington's character, Dane, and she's got this longtime boyfriend who's dipped out of the picture for a while. She's been with him for like 5,000 years or something like that. And that's Richard Madden's character, Icarus. Icarus is fiercely dedicated to the Eternals and their mission. He's in an on-again, off-again relationship with Cersei, complicated by her current boyfriend. Twist villain, has the power of flight and laser eyes. Icarus was a fucking beast in this movie. I love the way they portrayed him and his powers. I loved it even more when they called the movie Man of Steel. Somebody hit me with the rim shot. Boom! Woo! Thank you. Yeah, man, liked it even better when they called it Man of Steel. There's a lot of stuff in this movie that feels like it was lifted from other things. And Icarus and the way his powers were portrayed are very much one of those things. However, it's still cool to see somebody with Superman-like powers body anything. Like, watching him fight was badass. I really enjoyed it. It kind of reminded me of Omni-Man on Invincible, you know, like we've seen little glimpses of this type of power set. What's his name in The Boys? You know what I'm talking about. I can't think of it right now, but this idea of a superpowered superhero being on the same scale as Superman, only they're bad and they use their powers for not humanity. It's pretty intense shit. Like Brightburn or Homelander. That's his name, Homelander. Mike is fine. Thank you. Thank you. Let's see. Oh, I get really hard all the time, Leo. I thought you knew that about me. Crashing Coyote, what's up? Crazy Theory. I feel like the Green Knight can be in the MCU, and when Dev Patel comes across the Druig actor, the rest of the movie, Druig messing with Dave Patel for fun because he was bored. Ah, shared universe there. I appreciate that. And then the Green Knight fights the Black Knight in the next movie. When he turned and was going to fight everyone, I said, this DC again? Yeah. The attractiveness of the cast made the lack of character develop much easier. Yeah, that's exactly right. And just like, oh, I like that actor from other things that they've done. I wanted to look up the Bollywood actress that's dancing with what's his name in the movie, because she was smoking hot, but I forgot, so I'm gonna do that after a little bit. Okay, so we've got Cersei, Icarus. I love that they made Jon Snow say "I love you, Cersei" in the movie, or "I love Cersei" or some shit like that. Love you, Cersei. Ajax is Salma Hayek. What a funny name. It reminds me of Ajax, right? Francis, the collected maternal leader of the Eternals. Dies early in the movie, has healing powers and communicate with the Celestials. The second power is transferable through a little glowing orb. I liked her in this movie. I really do like that scene where she and Icarus were talking about humanity, you know, right before he ends up deciding he's got to take her down to that little trench and murder her, which was pretty dark and pretty good stuff, but I liked all that scene, the setup, and the way that she started to fall in love with humanity despite our flaws and our faults. You know, this idea that people at their best are so much more than the sum of all of the terrible shit that we do at our worst, but I like that. Thena, Angelina Jolie, felt like she was a main character in another movie that we weren't watching. That was kind of my take on it. It was interesting that they took such a big actor and put her in a role like this. She's the most deadly fighter on the Eternals. Everybody's like, that's a bad bitch, because she's Athena, essentially. Only drop the A because for some reason everybody in the Eternals has a name that's kind of like a name, but it's not. Like, it's Cersei, but it's not with a C. It's with an S. Or Icarus, flew too close to the sun. They even make a joke about that in the movie. Ajax, almost like Ajax. I don't know. Druid, like a druid. Athena, like Athena. Gilgamesh, like Gilgamesh. I don't know what that's like, but they call the actor Don Lee, and I don't think that's what his name is. Maybe that's the American name that they're going by, but he's the fucking badass in Train to Busan, which is a really cool movie. And he's almost got a similar power set. Like, he was just this brawler in Train to Busan, and in this they kind of kept that same essence of him. He's this Chinese guy built like a brick shit house that just like goes in with the haymakers, just powerful punches, you know? The gentle giant of the Eternals is Gilgamesh, kind and humorous, has unacquitted feelings for Athena, dies halfway through, has incredible strength and endurance. So we knew all of this. We've got Makari, who is the studious Eternal, who she's deaf and mute, just like the actor that plays her. Really liked her, and really liked the fact that, and I know I shouldn't even bring it up because it really doesn't come up during the movie. This is an incredibly inclusive cast that's got like something for everybody in it, and I appreciated that. And I even appreciate more that the marketing didn't revolve around Kingo, played by Kamal Nanjiani, in Marvel's first Indian or Pakistani superhero, a fun-loving Eternal that used his talents and age to become a renowned Bollywood actor, brings a camera crew with him on the adventure, has the power of energy blasts manifested as literal finger guns. He's one of the comic relief characters in the movie, and I really like Kamal Nanjiani. I did not think any of the humor in this movie worked at all. It started being a problem for me with the trailers, with the IKEA thing and the I'm gonna lead the Avengers thing. I don't know. There was nothing in this movie that I found to be the least bit funny. Don Lee is Korean. Yeah, what'd I say? Chinese? Yeah, sorry about that. As is Train to Busan, Korean. My bad. Should have known. Is that his name, though? I didn't think Don Lee was his name. Yeah, it is. Dude, I don't know why that bothers me so much. Did he always go by Don Lee? Yeah, no, Ma Dong-suk is his name. Duh. Ma Dong-suk. And I'll probably pronounce that wrong, but at least it's his Korean name and not some three-letter American dummy way of pronouncing things. F the countries I won't show this movie. Oh, couldn't agree more. The fact that gay love story was even discussed outside, like, it's such a nothing, non-starter thing. Like, who... I didn't see anything controversial or the least bit offensive about it, but yeah, there are still countries in the world where you are not allowed to be who you are, and that's fucked. So we got Kingo, then we got Fastos, Brian Tyree Henry, Paperboy, the Eternal's jaded inventor. He has lost his optimism, lives with human husband and child, has vague powers of invention, which are visualized as golden schematics, runes, and shapes coming from his hands. Weird powers. And this whole thing of like, we're not supposed to interfere unless it's the deviants, unless we guide them with the power of suggestion, but we're really not supposed to. It's like, I don't know what their mission was. I don't understand. It's to protect humans from deviants and not to interfere unless the deviants are involved. But yet that guy is constantly like, hey, here's some guns. Go use these guns. Go use this thing thousands of years early. And it doesn't usually work out very well for Fastos. We got Sprite. I liked Sprite. I like the actor that played Sprite. I thought she was cool. An upbeat Eternal with the body of a child, has the power to create elaborate visual illusions, including but not limited to invisibility, self-duplication, fireworks, and stealing Loki's power set. Wow, I was not expecting it to say that right there in the thing. It didn't say that. I actually editorialized that last part. This girl is basically Loki. Sprite is Loki, right? Anyways, whatever. Then we got Druid, my favorite character in the episode or in the movie, an isolated, weird Eternal with no faith in humanity. so relatable, all those things. Weirdo, no faith in humanity, leads a human cult deep in the rainforest with his powers of mind control, fake out villain, probably my favorite Eternal. That's what this person said as well. Dude, he is got the badass power of all of them. Like when he's leaving Rome after they're burning down fucking the whole entire city, and they're like, if you leave, you can't come back or whatever, and he's like, yeah, fuck y'all, and they're all coming with me, and like he like lights everybody up, you know, to where they're all like under his mind control, and they just like follow him out of the city. That was badass. The way that he uses them is like to go and start firing on the freaking deviants. I like this character a lot. I was not expecting it walking in. I thought he looked strange in the trailers, and he is, but I felt like of all of the characters in the movie, that was the most interesting to me. He was shaded. I didn't think he was a fake out villain at all. There was never a point in the movie that I was like, oh, that's going to be the bad guy. I don't know why. Maybe I just wasn't smart enough to think about it, but it never crossed my mind. Did somebody ask if we were I will, Venice Beach Sports Network, we'll take a detour for that real quick, because I'm honestly not 100% sure how this works. Somebody in the chat could probably do it about as well. They're the oldest race in the entire MCU. They're essentially gods for all intents and purposes, but, you know, so's Thor, just on a different level. They're the oldest race in the universe. They're entities with vast matter and energy manipulation abilities. They were present long before the dawn of creation and were responsible for bringing planets and life forms throughout the cosmos. They created all of existence outside of the Celestials. They were the first form of existence, and they possess infinite cosmic powers. They're led by Erishim, who was the Celestial from this movie. He created suns, life forms throughout the cosmos in order to create more Celestials and push the bounds of life in the universe. They seeded planets with nascent Celestials, as the emergence of a new Celestial required the presence of a large population of sentient beings on the world they were seeded into. The Celestials genetically engineered the deviants to wipe out the planet's apex predators. However, due to their biological nature, the deviants evolved and betrayed their original purpose by hunting and wiping down out all life. To stop their rogue creations, the Celestials then created the Eternals, who are synthetic beings, sending them across the cosmos to eradicate the deviants and protect sentient life on the planet seeded with Celestials. It's a lot of circular stuff going on. Ys on the Searcher used to use the Power Stone as a means of destroying an entire planet. Nowhere, a spaceborne mining colony, was actually the severed head of a deceased Celestial. Now, how does Galactus directly relate to these? I think he is one. But as I'm scrolling through the list, I don't see him listed as a Celestial. So that's actually not accurate. I guess he's something different, which is weird. Maybe he just hasn't shown up yet. Y'all let me know, is Galactus a Celestial? It is Blade, and we're going to talk about that for sure. Yeah, that's something that I was very interested in. So, okay, Drew, I mentioned Dane Whitman, that's Cersei's human boyfriend. We end up finding out he's Black Knight. He's played by Kit Harington. And as we know, by the very, very end, he's definitely going to end up being a main character in upcoming movies. And looks like he's going to be teaming up with Mahershala Ali's Blade. Crazy. I didn't know who the fuck that voice was supposed to be at the end. I was like, am I supposed to recognize that? No, you have to go and Google it afterwards, and then you're like, oh, wow, Blade was just introduced to the MCU. I guess that's exciting, because I didn't know it just was some disembodied voice as far as I was concerned. Domo, the triangular ship, that's what the Eternals came here on, was the Domo Arigato. Crow is the four-eyed humanoid leader of the Deviants. He was the one that kind of evolves throughout the movie, absorbs the powers of the other ones. The actual secondary villain, who you're following, thinking, yeah, that's the bad guy. I didn't know about the Icarus thing. It dawned on me 10 minutes before it happened that I was like, oh, shit, Icarus is the bad guy. Arishem, we talked about. He's the big six-eyed celestial that's responsible for communicating with the Eternals. And in the comics, he judges the survival of planets. In this, he's going to be judging the survival of the three Eternals who ended up betraying the mission and allowing a celestial to die for the betterment of one specific race of beings known as humanity. Jemiah, kind of like Jeremiah, right? Blue-green celestial seen in the trailers. In the comics, he's a galactic data analyzer. Cool. Tiamat, allegedly the growing celestial inside the Earth, not seen in the trailer, but in the comics has a similar role. So that's the one, their hand and their heads coming up at the end. Pretty cool stuff. Yeah, of course. Absolutely. Okay, so now we're going to get into the plot leak, and I'm going to try to keep this brief. There's a lot of jumping around, obviously, to introduce different plot points. So, like, the time is a little all over the place. It openings with a title card that explains the Deviants and the Eternals. The Deviants were created by the Celestials to hunt predators. We already talked about that. Opens 5,000 years ago in Mesopotamia. There's a man fishing on some rocks with his son. He's attacked by a Deviant from the ocean. The Eternals show up and a short battle commences, after which they line up in a triangular hero pose. And this rolls into the Marvel logo opening. God, it looks so cheesy. Their costumes are so cheesy in this. Like, you can tell they're like cosplay foam, the little shoulder pads, and then they're like that real thin, kind of shiny, body-hugging material like, the Green Man wears or whatever. I thought their costumes were silly. I appreciate that they looked distinct and kind of had their own thing going on, but all the posing, man, just stop. After Florence Pugh made fun of that in Black Widow, you'd think they would go in a calculated direction of not doing superhero poses for their whole fucking team, but nope. Oh my God, I'm on fire. That actually was me. I apologize about that. Leo. The House of Gucci trailer was shown before the Eternals began, and I had no one to tell my joke to, but I was like, wait, hold on. Do you hear that? It's the sound. It sounds like gays running to see the movie. I gotta go. My missus is making dinner, but that look for sitting here. Excited to listen back later and hear a discussion about the advertising nature of the current MCU. Paul, thank you very much for coming by. Apologies. It does usually run a little bit long, but if you come back and you listen from about the 2/3 point, we'll probably be getting into that stuff there. But feel free to listen to all of it if you want to. And while you're here, do me a favor. I got 7 likes and 22 concurrent viewers. Y'all do me a favor and try to kind of even that out just slightly. It only takes a second of your time, and it actually really does help my little corner of the internet. So we're up to 8 now, 9. Oh, look at things happening. We are getting so much closer. I do appreciate you very much. Galactus is from a former universe. Celestials are from our universe. Thank you, Marcus Strong. That is very helpful. Thank you for the extra likes. I really do appreciate that. Martial Arts Film Freak, love the movie, don't understand the negativity. Well, stick around, my man, stick around. You know I'm going to continue to crap on this movie. I didn't notice that crashing coyote, but it definitely makes sense, and when I go back and rewatch it, I will be paying attention to that. Tristan, I'm kind of kidding. I thought it was a fine movie. I didn't think it was terrible, but I do have lots of issues with it. Jump to present day. Cersei and Dane Whitman are teachers in the UK and dating. It's so funny. Dane Whitman is the Black Knight, and I keep talking about these one letters of difference. Dane Whiteman is the Black Knight, and he's going to team up with Blade. Okay, that's cool. During a class lesson, a large earthquake strikes, and Cersei saves a child from a falling object by turning it to sand. That was really cool. Then the Deviants attack Sprite, Dane, and Cersei, and that was a really cool scene too. And the bus goes flipping over, and she turns it into flowers, and it like bursts everywhere. And I'm like, oh my God, she just killed the 50 people on board that bus. It turns out it was an empty bus, and there was only the bus driver on it. And he was protected by a bed of roses, which is very sweet if you think about it. It's very, very sweet. After that, they noticed the deviants were not being destroyed. The deviants were actually able to heal their wounds, which is something that deviants have never been able to do in the past, which, you know, kind of starts to paint a picture of what's going on here and the fate of Ajax. Ramin Djawadi did the score. That's really cool. I didn't realize that. All right. Well, then I need to check that out. I didn't even realize that it was Game of Thrones. The group decided to visit Ajax, and when they arrived there, they realized that she's dead. A small golden device in her body enters Cersei, and this is how she ends up being able to communicate with the Celestials. Then they decide they're going to round up the rest of the team, so they go and they visit Thena and Gilgamesh in Australia due to an issue with her memory, causing her to randomly attack the other Eternals. Gilgamesh is obviously in love with Thena, but is not played as a romantic relationship. Well, it was, though, right? Like, it's so obvious. I think this was all written before the release of the movie. Thena and Gilgamesh are two characters that I actually like quite a bit. I like their relationship with each other. It was kind of sweet, and the way that he was always there and stuck by her side despite how much of a fucking liability she was. The fact that Brian Tyree Henry's character lets her anywhere near his fucking kids, it makes me like him less. It's like, you are a bad, bad parent, dude. You don't let this chick that could wipe out your entire fucking team minus Icarus, don't let her near the kids, dude. She's gonna gut your child. We've seen it almost happen a dozen times. I think we did see it happen a half a dozen times. They just brought everybody back to life. Billy's Blockbusters, welcome to the conversation, my guy. Oh my god, I'm on fire, says Cersei's power was cool but totally useless in an actual fight. It was odd how some of the Eternals were OP as fuck and others seemed like even Black Widow could handle the fight better. Yeah, well, for sure that. Like, they just had weird power sets. Some of them were great. Like you said, overpowered. Druid overpowered. Icarus overpowered. Yeah, Salma Hayek's like a healer. She's not gonna like be good in an offensive attack. I mean, it's good to have a healer in your team. What do you call that? Like party? Yeah, good to have a healer in your party. But as far as like offensively taking out other characters, not so much. So Phastos and his husband are living with their child and decide to help due to the fact that he's fully embraced the human race and wants to protect his family after being cynical for millennia. Makari's been living in the Eternal ship the whole time, I guess. And then Kingo is a Bollywood actor now. I really like that scene. That was probably one of my favorite parts, just the little Bollywood dance and how like he was just mugging for the camera. That was pretty funny. Kamal's fireballs were pretty sweet. Or Kamel's fireballs were pretty sweet. Druig is living in a rainforest controlling a small group of people after losing faith in humanity and wanting to control them to stop war, famine, etc. Gilgamesh is killed fighting the deviants in the forest. Yeah, I like that. He's like, I'm tired of seeing people die, and I can prevent it from happening by not allowing them to embrace their darker human impulses. But by doing that, he's stripping them of all agency and autonomy and essentially making them into robots. Like, their prime directive is just to like serve him essentially. But I thought that was interesting kind of philosophical stuff that they were playing with there, and I really like this character. The death of Gilgamesh was actually pretty well handled, I thought. It's just like, what are the power sets of these Eternals? I guess they can take a lot of a beating, but not like all of a beating. Like, they can get stabbed in the neck and sometimes that'll kill them, but then sometimes it doesn't kill them. I don't know, man. I couldn't wrap my head around the power sets. It was very, very off balanced. Oh, look at that. We got 18 concurrent viewers, 14 likes. That is a beautiful, beautiful thing. Thank you very much. If you haven't clicked the like button, do me a favor. Take a second to do that. It really helps out. So the Eternals now debate on what to do, and some decide to try to find a way to stop the emergence. However, Icarus disagrees, and Sprite and Kingo are on his side, but Kingo agrees to help. Kind of. I mean, Kingo actually is the one that starts to fight Icarus. Like, you can't turn on your family, basically. And Icarus is like, you can't turn on the mission. And Sprite's been in love with Icarus the entire time. So when Icarus fights the entire team and decides he's going to go off and allow the emergence to continue, Sprite goes with him. Fastos designs a device that allows Druig to channel all the Eternals' energies in the hopes of controlling Tiamat and putting him back to sleep. This was all like, what? They are going full-on Power Rangers. They are all, or Captain Planet, right? They become the big brain or some shit. The Unimind. We gotta link the Unimind. It's the weirdest MacGuffin ever. Cersei learns that Icarus knew about the Celestials' actual plans, and this is why he left the group hundreds of years ago. He killed Ajax because she had decided to help stop the emergence and save the Earth. Yeah, that was a pretty tragic scene. The group go to where Tiamat is supposed and attempt to use the device. Icarus and Sprite attempt to stop them. Icarus does a full-on Loki here. She appears and stabs Cersei in the back. I thought it was really badass looking when Tiamat is rising up out of the ocean and you see the hand and then the head and she turns him to marble. That was fucking cool, man. I hope we see that structure again in future movies. I really like the way that looked. Chris M., welcome to the conversation, my man. Thank you for stopping by. Content and memories. That sounds like Matt Lane and me. Matt likes to document everything for memories, and I'm like, content. That's funny. I wish that Druig could have used his powers on other Eternals. Like, how do some of their powers work against others, but not back, but some not back? Yeah, it is weird. Icarus flies off into space toward the sun. What a stupid thing to do. Icarus, I'm flying into the sun now. Superman gets powers from the sun. Icarus lost his wings by flying too close to the sun. So the fact that he's like, well, I failed my mission. I guess I'm just going to fly into the sun now. I was laughing in the theater like, what the fuck is this? Okay. And then Cersei makes Sprite a real human with what remains of her power. I like that he compared her to Tinkerbell and she had the little pixie cut. And that she was always in love with Peter, who was Icarus. I thought that was cool. And plus, like, the Lost Boys never grow old, you know? And it was weird also, because they're like, my friends think it's weird that you never age, but they're like thousands of years old. So how fast do these things age? We never saw Kamal Nanjiani as a child, so why would his friends be like, oh, this person never grows up, but clearly you do? Like, what? It would have to take 100 years to show any notable signs of difference when you're aging at that kind of fucking slow snail's pace. It doesn't matter. It's not like a deal breaker for a movie, but like, why even include that in there? It starts opening the brain up to questions like these. A few days later, Thena, Makari, and Druig leave the ship to seek out other Eternals, and they're stopped by Erisham, who decides that he's going to basically decide whether or not they're able to live or what their punishment's going to be for stopping this huge emergence. The two in-credit stingers. We've got one with Dane looking at an old box where he pulls out a sword that is wrapped up just as he's about to do it. Off-screen voice stops him, and we know who that is now, and that's actually the second of the after credit scenes. And then the other is Pip, the troll, appears and introduces Star Fox, played by Harry Styles. What? I don't want Harry Styles in the MCU, dude. I don't know why, but I don't like it. I don't like it. Everybody's going to end up in the MCU eventually. And I don't know if that's cool or not. I don't know. It's like, I know they're building a universe onto themselves, but I don't want Harry Styles as Star Fox. I don't even know who Star Fox is except for do a barrel roll. Star Fox to me will always be do a barrel roll. Anyways, so wow, that is a lot of information. A lot of things happen in this movie. It's a very long movie, and I was good for like the first 2 hours, and the last 45 minutes I was like, fuck, dude, my butt is hurting. I'm like doing that thing where you get situated in the seat, like picking my butt up off of it so that it was just not as numb. Before the post-credit scenes, I had to get up, walk down to like one of the front rows and just find another seat after everybody left the theater because I was so tired of sitting in the same place. So yeah, all in all, it was a movie that is on par with a lot of what I would say the Warner Brothers DC movies is at. It wasn't bad. It was ambitious. It was also shackled by the fact that it had to be an MCU thing. Somebody asked a little bit ago, basically, do I think that now Marvel is just a marketing machine for future projects? No. Or yes, because it's always been. I don't think it's any different now than it always has been, only now we've got the addition of Disney Plus. It's always been driving audiences to future projects, keep us excited with characters we know and recognize being brought in at the very last minute so you can be excited to see what they do next. But now we're to Star Fox, like I'm supposed to be excited about Star Fox, who's somehow Thanos' brother. What is happening, man? I don't even understand what the fuck's going on anymore. How is that Thanos' brother, dude? I don't get it. Is it skippable without missing anything in the larger MCU? Chris, I would say yes, but I would also say that almost nothing is. It did feel uncomfortable seeing Harry Styles there. There were a couple of castings that were just too big. Angelina Jolie, been a fan for a long time, but she's too famous. Like when you see her in there, it's like for me, it was like, oh, too big of a star. I can't see her as anything other than just Angelina Jolie at this point. She felt like she was like stunt casting in a way. Like as famous as everybody else on that cast is, she's as famous as all of them. You know what I mean? Like she is a whole different league of celebrity. And I don't like it. Same with Harry Styles. He's so famous that it's like he can't just slide into a movie unless he's going to be the star of the movie, and I guess that's fine. Felt like after Wakanda Forever, I'm going to stop watching for a few years and come back for Infinity War Endgame conclusion movies. Isn't Thanos an Eternal with a deviant gene? Yes, that is correct. Which means he was a synthetic being, which is also just opens up some interesting questions about a lot of this, and that balance that he was so craving existed before the creation of the deviants. I don't know how all that shit works, man. I don't know how all that shit works. So, this movie sits at like a 50 something on Rotten Tomatoes. And while I'm not a person that subscribes to the idea that like, oh, it deserved a 50, in this case, I pretty much do. Like I usually rate out of 5 stars, and I'm giving Eternals a 3 out of 5. And I can explain why, but I also understand anybody that didn't like the movie, because the things that carried the movie for me are not the same things that I would imagine are going to speak to everyone. But for me, like I said, I am such a big fan of Train to Busan, Desperado, From Dusk Till Dawn, Game of Thrones, The Green Knight. I really like Kumail Nanjiani in The Big Sick, Angelina Jolie and everything from Hackers to, not really Maleficent, but she's done a bunch of really good stuff. I like Gemma Chan from Crazy Rich Asians. Brian Tyree Henry's great in Get Out. Everybody in this movie almost has got something else that I really enjoyed them in. So the cast alone, it's like, when you assemble a cast like this, it's hard for me to just outright discredit it and be like, oh, no. And then plus, while I thought the costume design was silly, it was definitely done with care. And I really like the use of real scenery and real sets and tangible backgrounds instead of all being done with green screen. I thought it was a beautiful looking movie, despite the fact that it was a little more subdued in its color palettes, more similar to a DC thing. I thought it still had enough color and enough vibrancy that it wasn't dull. So I think the production of it was nice. Now that I know Djawadi did the score, I need to go back and listen to that. I really think he's one of the greatest composers working. His work is phenomenal. So there are a lot of things about this movie that I think work. I think the biggest problem with it is, despite liking all those actors, the characters themselves were paper thin. Almost none of them had any sort of depth to them. There's just too many. It's just too much going on. And plus, when you have a 2 hour and 40-minute runtime, it helps when the characters are relatable and likable. And every one of these characters seems so like detached and robotic, which, while it makes sense to the type of characters they were, it didn't make for an emotionally engaging experience. Also, a lot of times the humor does hit in Marvel movies, and when it works well. In this one, every joke felt awkward and forced. When other people laugh, you know, there's that one person in the theater that always laughs too loud. He was laughing at things that were not funny, and I just kept feeling myself judgingly looking back over my shoulder like, who thinks this is funny? Raise your hand, you fuck. You've got a bad sense of humor. So if you laughed at this movie, and I don't normally call y'all out, but if you laughed at this movie, your sense of humor is fucked. And I mean that. I'm just kidding. The vampire joke was funny. I don't remember it, I guess. Scene where Druig had Sprite with the Rock, one guy was hit Sprite with the Rock, one guy was losing it. That was easily the funniest scene. I think that was funny, but it wasn't like, oh my god, fucking ROFL, you know. But it was funny. I thought I enjoyed that part. It was just funny to see him conk this childlike little nymph on the back of the head with a fucking just a straight up lava rock, like smack. Good night. It's like, oh shit. I feel like that could have killed somebody, but then like I don't know how, like I said, I don't know how their power levels work, but it was smart. I think it wanted to be smart. What's up, Northern Crusaders? How you doing, man? So yeah, 48%. And then the audiences gave it an 81, because I do believe Marvel audiences, we have a loyalty to the brand in a way that it's like we will give it a pass in a lot of ways. Kind of like DC fans will give their bullshit a pass, you know? Excuse me. And I say give their bullshit a pass, but you get what I'm saying. It's like if you like Batman enough, then all of a sudden Batman versus Superman doesn't seem all that bad. But when you look at it just as in terms of the movie itself, I think this one was a bit of a disappointment. But if you go back and you watch my trailer reactions, the whole time I'm like, it looks a little boring. I don't really see the narrative thrust of it. I don't understand who the main character is. It lacks focus. It just feels like it wanted to try to split the difference between everybody, and as a result, it ends up servicing nobody. And that's unfortunate. You know, I feel like if it would have focused more on Gemma Chan's character, at least we could have had like a beating heart in the story. But as it stands, I didn't feel that. Some of the action sequences were really good. Others of them just felt just a little by the numbers, a little generic. But at the end, I had a definite Justice League feeling, almost like Flash fighting Superman, which we've seen before at this point, you know. Druig kind of has Professor X powers. Athena's a little like Lady Sif. You know, I could almost just go down the list and be like, that person's kind of like that person's kind of like that person. Kamel's character was a little like Cannonball or something, right? I don't know, any character that shoots plasma blasts out of their hands.
Crashing Coyote, I think it's because some Marvel audiences aren't mature enough to understand a film of this magnitude. Wow, No Way Home is reportedly going to be 2 hours and 39 minutes. You know, for that particular movie, I feel like 2 hours and 40 minutes isn't super long for a character like Spider-Man that we've spent so much. We've already had 2 movies with him. Doc Ock is coming back from a movie that's 20-something years old that we all have a lot of love for. So, like, there's enough characters and world building. We got Venom coming in. We've got fucking so much happening in that movie. Doctor Strange is in it, that I don't know that it'll feel egregiously long in the same way. However, it might. I mean, who knows? You know, like, I've seen longer movies that felt shorter, like Dune was a similar length, and it didn't bother me at all. So it really does just depend. It was a really good year overall with Black Widow and Shang-Chi, with Spider-Man coming up, and let alone the other D+ shows, and Hawkeye coming up next. Yes, I mean, and after a really bleak year in 2020, so Marvel is doing well. It's hard for me to maintain the same level of enthusiasm as we get further and further away from the Infinity Saga, because that was all just built up so nicely. And right now, I feel like there's all of these plot threads that are going in different directions, i.e. the timeline splitting in Loki, but we haven't found everything's way back together yet. We haven't found the thing that's going to take all of these disparate elements and weave them back into a story that's going to have the same kind of direct thrust as phases 1 through 3 did, where everything is building to this one moment. All of these characters, lives, everything. We had Nick Fury to bring all of them together. Now we've got Contessa, what's-her-ass, bringing some of, like, these Dark Avengers together. We've got, in What If, we have the Watcher bringing together characters. I don't know what the main thrust is in this, but I do think it's interesting to think that the Black Knight is going to tie directly into Morbius. I mean, not to Morbius, to Blade. And then meanwhile, over at Sony, we have Morbius going on. X-Men are being alluded to. We've got Fantastic Four. Like, we've got big players that haven't been introduced to the MCU yet, but they are so big to me, in particular the X-Men. Like, their world is so expansive. I almost feel like the Eternals is the same way. Like, they should exist in pocket universes that are separate from this main MCU timeline. They could, but the thing that fans want to see is fucking Namor fighting with Adam Warlock against Galactus, and then the fucking Fantastic Four and the X-Men slide in to help the Avengers defeat the fucking, you know, and the Eternals are there, and then all of a sudden Poison, the 80s band, shows up for some reason. We don't even know what's fucking happening anymore, but the point is everything is happening all at one time on the screen, and comic book fans are gonna be like, good enough. Good enough. All I need is enough shit I recognize on the screen. That's why Ready Player One is the greatest movie of all time, except for Space Jam 2. You know, when you think about all-time great movies, get out of here, Godfather. See you later, Citizen Kane. Get the fuck out of here, because the greatest movies of all time are the ones that have the most characters in them. It's just the way it is. So yeah, dude, big fan of Space Jam, the new legend, or whatever the fuck it was called, New Legacy, next level. I don't know what it was called. And then my other favorite movie is Ready Player One. I mean, dude, when King Kong showed up, I was like, that's King Kong. And then fucking Big Hero 6 shows up. Betamax, no, not Betamax. What's his name? The Iron Giant shows up, and I'm like, I can't recognize that. And I was happy, and that's all that it takes for me to be a fan. Hey. Will we get more boink scenes in future MCU movies? I fucking hope not. It's a funnier thing to make fun of than it is one that needs to be addressed. Like, I always love making fun of the fact that nobody has sex in the MCU, but then after seeing it, I'm like, ooh, that's why. It feels weird. It's like they just laid on top of each other. Oh, I love you. Oh, I love you too. It's so important that when we're making love, we use the word love so that all these fans know that love is the only way to be fucking.
That's the important thing, children. Love. What did I say? Betamax? Yeah. I'm a beta to the max. What can I say? Homelander versus Omni-Man versus Icarus. Ooh, boy, it's got to be Omni-Man, right? I think Omni-Man could just split Earth in half. All I was thinking during that scene was the sand. They didn't even show consent. No, you cannot. No, you cannot. But it's the idea of it. It's like, let's just kind of like rub our bodies against each other on the beach. Isn't that romantic for love? What else, guys? Let's see. Yeah, I like that question, though. I think Omni-Man wins, but I'm not sure. Audiences say it's a kind of different Marvel movies, but Internal still contains all the action, humor, and heart that fans are looking for. Well, at least it had action. I agree with that part. Andrew J. The critics got this one right for once. This movie was full of plot holes, was boring and bland, way too much emphasis on some things and not enough on others. Definitely shows the downward spiral to the bottom that Marvel has been completely set on reaching. Wow. Little hyperbolic there, bro. That was a half a star review. Let's look at one of these idiots' 5-star reviews. This movie was so different than any other Marvel movie in a good way. I loved all the characters. There was a perfect mix of personalities which made them relatable and seem like an actual family. I hope we get to see an Eternals 2. Marvel has said that they don't have plans for a part 2, but this movie was fantastic despite what the critics say. It's either I'm for the critics, I'm against the critics. You get 1 star or 5 stars. Here's a 2.5. This one's measured. Let's see what they have to say. Story was forced and boring, and characters were flat. Wouldn't recommend. Wait until it's released from theaters before watching. Okay. A little more measured. Still a little negative. 1 star. I applaud Chloe Zhao for her casting of a deaf main character most of all. However, the film lacked emotion and relatability to the lackluster main characters whose names I couldn't recite fast. I think it's awesome that she cast a deaf main actor in it. I don't think you can give a movie a pass for inclusion, personally, but I'm a cis white male, so like maybe that's easy for me to say, but like I'm sorry, the stuff that happens outside of the context of the movie can't really speak to the quality of the movie itself, if you ask me. But again, what the fuck do I know? No, dude, I disagree, Leo. I want to see a Hollywood man pull out and just bust all over the camera before the woman even gets a chance to, just like immediately, like Icarus just slides it in, pull it into scene. It's not about female pleasure. I don't know if you're aware of that. It's never been. That's a joke, guys. I don't know if that read like a joke, but if you subscribe to the female orgasm, if you subscribe to big conspiracy. H said this is a half a star. Absolutely the biggest Marvel disappointment. Hollywood once again pushing their, oh god, one of these fucking people. Unnecessary sexual contact. The sex scene is obvious. He pumping her was the way. Intercourse. I take my 13 and 14-year-old to see these. Come on. Biggest disappointment about this review is that the person who wrote that has a 13 and a 14-year-old. Yikes. Learn to write.
1 star. Worst Marvel movie so far. Well, it ties with Shang-Chi for boring. Acting was bad except for a few characters. Story was complicated. I almost fell asleep. Yeah, dude, if there's one thing that makes me tired, it's things that are complicated. It's like, geez, am I supposed to use my brain? This is really exhausting. Uh 5 stars. It was beautifully done. Cinematography is fantastic. Everything about the movie is beautiful. I don't disagree with most of that. It had some humor in it and a lot of emotions involved with this film. Don't get me wrong, it has a lot to take in with all the information they were given in the film, but the film was by far the best I've seen in a while. I'm still thinking about it to this day. That review was posted 41 minutes ago, and the movie has been out since Thursday, so they've been thinking about it for 1, 2, 3 days. Wow. Well, that one really stuck with you. Yeah, oh my god, I'm on fire. You are not lying, dude. You are not lying. Elijah, I actually like this movie, but it definitely feels like an art film made for the MCU, but I don't understand why people don't like this movie. I can't wait to see what Erisham comes back to Earth to judge it. Elijah, I don't know how long you've been in the chat, but I actually did enjoy the movie. I thought it was fairly well done. I didn't think it was great. But I'm a person very much in the school of thought, and if there's one thing I can impart on everyone, it's that, like, it doesn't matter if we understand why another person does or doesn't like or dislike the thing that we like. What's important to understand is that we all carry our own life experiences into the things that we appreciate as art. And from that perspective, the fact that we don't always see things the same way is actually a beautiful thing. So instead of me worrying about what other people do or don't appreciate about a movie, I appreciate the fact that you guys all have your own specific tastes and preferences. And I love the fact that you love the movie. And I love the fact that Martial Arts Film Freak just now gave me my first super chat in quite a while. Thank you very much, Tristan999. I completely loved Eternals. People saying worst MCU ever movies are nuts or trolling. Representation of a deaf hero made my girlfriend cry with joy. That's amazing. And a minute ago when I said I don't know if you can let that dictate whether or not the movie is good to you, I believe that is a prime example of why I don't know what I'm talking about. Like, if it gives you extra emotion, that's going to make you enjoy and appreciate the movie more. So that testimonial contradicts and actually shows that I don't know what I don't always know what I'm talking about, because I appreciate that a lot. And that's the beauty of representation, is like when you see somebody that's like you, it's like this idea is that, like, white is default. Any other colors, nationalities, sexual preference, that's an agenda. So white is just default. White is right. If every movie is just white people in it, then it's just a regular movie. It doesn't have a political agenda. But the second you put a person of color in it, or a female lead, or a deaf person, or a gay person, all of a sudden it's got an agenda. Get the fuck out of here, dude. That is the very definition of privilege. That's the kind of thinking where it's like, have empathy. Understand that everybody's not exactly the same as you are. That has had the options of everything from Indiana Jones to, I mean, you know, what have we not had? Star-Lord to whatever. They're basically the same character, but you get what I'm saying. We've never had to question it. It's just always been what it is. So the fact that people are getting uncomfortable when they have to see something that doesn't look exactly like them, imagine how everybody else has been feeling for a fucking 100 years of every single movie just being about white dudes. So anyways, yeah, that's me kind of going off on that. But what's up, Patrick McKeever? Patrick McCabe, I saw, and then I wanted to say hello to Mark McKeever. Welcome to the conversation, my man. Eternals did better flying speed FX than the DCEU ever did. Hot take. Leo says almost same. When the Fastos family scene came out, though it looked forced and Hallmarkish, I almost cried because it impacts someone younger in good ways, hopefully. Yeah, for sure.
actually gray is the default on the color scale, technically the colors black and white don't exist. They are all shades of gray. Crashing Coyote, I love you, but I don't know that I can co-sign that statement because black and white and gray are not actually colors at all. Mason, most Marvel movies are similar enough to craft quality that your ranking of them is truly dependent on how much they resonated with you personally, with the themes, characters, and each one. Yes. Marjo32, as a Mexican, Druig is my homeboy. I love that. That's a good tweet, Mason. I do appreciate the share there. And I agree with that. I think that there truly should be something for everyone. And so far there has been. And hell yeah, of course, a character like Thor might resonate with someone like me better than somebody like Captain Marvel, but it doesn't mean that I can't go in and watch a movie with somebody that doesn't look and act exactly like me and have empathy for them, I don't have to know what it's like to be a slave to watch a struggle movie and be like, damn, that looks really terrible. Like I feel for those characters because I have a frame of reference for what feeling is supposed to be, right? And when people are not willing to look at other life experiences and have the same empathy that people have been forced to have for them, like all of my black friends have been watching movies with white characters in them forever and still were able to connect, still were able to have empathy, still look at Luke Skywalker's journey and understand that. You know what I mean? So like, why shouldn't we be able to do the same thing? That's all my point about that. So I will say, even though I don't love the fact that Harry Styles is in the MCU, his appearance does remind me a bit of David Bowie and the way he dresses and stuff, so that's kind of cool. Judging a movie because it's long when you haven't seen it is not nice. Every movie has a different runtime because each movie is not a perfect runtime. For example, if you can cram... Oh, yeah, you couldn't cram Endgame into a 90-minute movie. You're right. You're right about that. I agree with that 100%. Yeah, Nick, they better. That's one thing that, like, bothered me about it is, like, everybody was harping on her for looking young, but, like, didn't she have the ability to, like, shapeshift and become different stuff? I always wonder, talk about default, like... Why does a shapeshifter have a default form? Because it doesn't take them any energy to expend being in their default form, where projecting or phasing or transforming does take energy. So I always wondered, like, why? Okay, so if you're a shapeshifter, why aren't you always the ideal version of yourself, Mystique? If you're a shapeshifter, why don't you always just, like, why would you ever feel persecuted as a blue person when you could just be anything you wanted to be? I mean, acceptance, ultimate acceptance, from a narrative perspective or from a thematic perspective, but like, why in context of the story? You know what I mean? You know what I mean. Yeah, he did. Crashing Coyote. We got a little Patton Oswalt cameo at the end there. She couldn't shapeshift. She created an illusion that she was an adult. That's right. That's right. That's right. Yeah, because he goes to put her hand on her and she's like, you've had too much to drink, and she slides out. That's right. I also, though, Crashing Coyote, I believe that it's fair to just be like 2.5 hours is too long of a movie for me to care about. I think that's a, like... Maybe I'm willing to give 90 minutes of my time to a movie, but I've still got work to do or still got to cook dinner when I get home. So maybe I'm willing to give a movie 2 hours, but I'm not willing to give a movie 3.5 hours just simply out of the... Like, I will never see it because I'm not willing to give that much time to a movie. Not that that's the case for you or I, but you get what I'm saying. Like, some people might as well just... Or some people might just not even ever feel the need to give it a watch. The dwarf that Patton played looked so bad. The CGI was inexcusably bad. It looked like something from Shrek. Couldn't agree more. Looks so bad. Weird. Unnatural, unsettling. Wasn't a fan. Don't understand why they did it.
Like, why go with the full CGI character? They did this perspective stuff so well all the way back in Lord of the Rings a million years ago. No, you're right, Crashing Coyote. I agree with that as well. If you're a shapeshifter but your default is blue scaly girl, putting on a different appearance is not truly you is like a gay person pretending they're straight to be accepted. But if you're a shapeshifter, I guess I'm just caught up on the fact that, like, why does a shapeshifter have a default form? But I guess if you're born out of the womb blue, then that's what your true form is. But I'm saying, everybody, just don't be who you are. Be who society wants you to be. That if there's one thing that you can take away from this stream, it is conform. Don't resist. Become the person that other people think you should be. Don't be true to yourself. Don't embrace your truth. Just live the lie. If there's one thing I want you to walk away from, it is that you should be ashamed of who you are. Oh, fuck. Is that what I came off like? I feel like Kit and Angelina were underused like Zendaya to give them something bigger in the next one. Yeah, for sure. I could see that. I think she's fine, TMS SMT. I don't know the hype though. I think she is from like Disney stuff or Nickelodeon or something, and is way younger than my generation personally. But I think she's fine. She's got a good look, you know. I haven't seen her in anything that I really love though. It was Cersei, Druig, and the Speed Girl. I thought. Let's double check though. Let's double check. Thena, Makari, and Druig leave the ship to seek out others. Cersei, Kingo, and Fastos stay on Earth but are pulled into space. Oh, so I was completely wrong. So it's Cersei, Kingo, and Fastos. So Gemma Chan, Kamal Nanjiani, and Brian Tyree Henry. She's fine, but she's got the same sort of following as Emma Watson had. Say you don't like her on the internet and it's off with your head. Martial arts film freak. Give it a little time. We'll get around to it. We'll get there, bro. We'll get there. And now he's going to hear this 5 minutes from now and be like, wait, what is he talking about? I just now saw the shapeshifter thing. Yeah, man. I don't know. I ended up walking out of it like, I don't know why people thought this movie was terrible. I did see somebody. Oh, Tristan, what is the worst MCU movie? That's what I want to know. I'm curious. You guys let me know real quick before we wrap this thing up, which there's no hurry still, but I am curious. Y'all let me know. Worst MCU movie. What is the MCU movie that is worse? If it's not this one, let me know what the other options are. Would be very curious to hear what you say. Leo, I would not watch it again. Yeah, Leo, I would not watch it again.
Leo says Iron Man 3, Chris M. Yes, is this better or worse than Captain Marvel? Thor 2 is the worst movie in the MCU, says Crashing Coyote. Nick Mayfield says Black Widow or Thor the Dark World. Well, of course, it's all a matter of opinion, and I want to hear yours. Okay, for you, it's Thor 2. Age of Ultron is the worst. Black Widow had some horrendous CGI. Captain Marvel, Thor 2, or Incredible Hulk. Bottom 3 for sure. I don't disagree with that. I think I'm pretty close to that when I mentioned mine up at the top, which was Ant-Man and the Wasp, Captain Marvel, and Eternals. I think the one that I think is the worst... Oh boy, it's gotta be Captain Marvel, don't it? You know how I am, dude. I just don't like white girls. Like, if they would have cast a fine black woman to play Captain Marvel, it would probably be my favorite MCU movie, but don't tell my wife, I just hate white women. Oh, shit, bro. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Guardians 2 either. Hulk, if that counts. Yeah, it sure does. Yeah, it sure does. Hulk comes up a bit. Avengers Ultron's come up a couple times. I agree with you, Crashing Coyote. I don't think the worst of them are bad movies, and worst of them is just like they just happen to fall at the bottom of the list. It's not that they're actually bad movies. I wouldn't say, yeah, any of them suck. Any of them suck. So like Photon. Yes, exactly like Photon. Marcho 32. I see you, dude. I see you. Ooh. I would say we would consider Holland's Spider-Man's. I thought Black Widow was fine. I didn't think it was bad. But again, it's that thing of like when I saw Thor: The Dark World, I was still very bought into the Marvel formula, like to the Marvel universe. I was like, oh, this is badass. I thought the same thing about Iron Man 2. And as we got further and further along, that I started to get a little bit more bored. But like, I love Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow. I thought Florence Pugh as Black Widow was phenomenal. So like the two of them alone, I was like, all right, I'm in. And I know that, like I said, like casting alone can't be enough, but I've just always really liked Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow, and I like the way that they made the two of those characters so dramatically different while still making Yelena extremely, like, effective of a fucking killer, but her personality was just so different, you know? Doctor Strange is an extremely boring movie. Visuals are cool, but almost fell asleep during that one. Yeah, it's not great. I thought the end of it ended up helping it out for me. Yes, Mark McKeever, it is for me. But again, it doesn't mean it's a bad movie. It's just not for me. Not for me. Patrick McCabe, it's like watching the Disney Plus shows. I've enjoyed somewhat all of them so far. Yeah, agreed. I know I enjoy being hyperbolic because I just, you know, like crapping on stuff every once in a while because it's funny. Hopefully it's entertaining. That's the main reason. I'm not trying to shut anybody else's opinions down. I just share mine, and I didn't think any of the Disney Plus series were bad. Florence Pugh just elevates that movie so much that it can never be bad for me, even though Dreykov is cartoonishly evil. Yeah, I agree with that. Have I seen Red Sparrow? No, I have not, but I would like to. I think Eternals is the base for the fire conflicts. In 5 years, people will love it. Now, there's something to be said about that as well. You know what I mean? Like, this movie could be more significant than what I know right now. And later on down the line, it has so much significance that I have to reevaluate the way that I actually feel about it. So there are things that could happen in the future that are going to cause me to look back at this with a different perspective, right? Hulk is not as good as Ultron, which is not as good as Dark World, which is not as good as Captain Marvel, which is not as good as Black Widow. All right. So Black Widow is better than Captain Marvel, which is better than the Dark World, which is better than Ultron, which is better than Hulk. Yeah, I don't dislike that ranking either. What's the worst movie Feige produced? The second Fantastic Four, Spider-Man 3, or X-Men 3? Ooh, boy. I'm going to go with X-Men 3.
No, the second Fantastic Four. Ugh. Do you know who it was, Mark McKeever? Oh, that would have been cool, though, if it was Uatu. But yeah, it was Blade. Crashing Coyote, never seen Arrow season. Oh, I see you. I think the Hawkeye show looks cool, though. I don't know the worst, but this was at least better than Thor 2, Iron Man 2, Captain Marvel, Age of Ultron, Ant-Man 2, Guardians 2, Iron Man 3, Black Widow, Incredible Hulk, and Spider-Man Far From Home. That's recency bias, homie. Get back with me in a month on that one. That's recency bias, bro. No, I don't know. Let's see. It was better than Thor 2, Iron Man 2, Captain Marvel, Age of Ultron, Ant-Man 2, Guardians 2, Iron Man 3, Black Widow, and all those movies you named aren't that great. So I don't disagree with you. Spider-Man Far From Home. I like the Spider-Man movies. I guess I felt different about that one. Haven't seen Eternals, but if the full Avengers roster went up against the full Eternal rosters, who wins? Avengers, man. The full Avengers roster is much bigger than the full Eternals roster, and I know that the Eternals are supposed to be super powerful, but Doctor Strange and fucking Scarlet Witch just pretty much bury most, as far as I'm concerned, most superheroes do not stand a chance against the two of them together. Like, the two of them together are a wrecking, and then you throw Hulk into the mix, dude. Thor? Yeah. Avengers all day. I doubt that. Oh my god, I'm on fire. I doubt that. Oh, Marjo32 says Eternals mop the floor. Leo, if I were to name, that's tough. My top, it's almost impossible for me to name my favorite of the movies in the MCU because they're all so dependent on each other. But I gotta say Infinity War and Endgame, just because they are the culmination. We'll count those as one movie just so that I can add some more to it. Okay, so Endgame and Infinity War, Thor Ragnarok, Guardians of the Galaxy 1, Captain America Civil War, Captain America Winter Soldier. Let's go. I think those are my favorite. I think the Captain America movies are kind of my favorite, but the first one's not so good. Mark McKeever, I agree with you. Eternals has such a low rewatchability factor. First MCU movie that left me that I left to take a piss in the middle of. I personally have problems with the Spider-Man movies. Maybe with 55 I'm too old, but I can't connect with Holland. Strange because I like the comics. I get that. I wanted Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man more than I'm wrapped up in interstellar conflicts Spider-Man, but I'm going with I'm just accepting the Spider-Man we got because my version of Spider-Man is so much more akin to the Amazing Spider-Man series and even the Raimi Spider-Man series. Like, I don't know, man. He should just be street level, you know? Like, he's got his own huge rogues gallery. I don't even like Spider-Man as an Avenger personally, but whatever. Multiverse of Madness is going to be awesome. TMS SMT, Infinity War is equal to Endgame, is better than Ragnarok, is better than Civil War, is better than Iron Man. Iron Man's at the bottom of your list, and I can respect that at this point as well. On rewatchability, I'm definitely rewatching Eternals many times. I've only seen some of the MCU movies more than once or twice, but I'll watch this one many times again. Dude, I am into the fact that you like it. I think that's awesome. And I really like the fact that your girlfriend enjoyed it as much as she did. Wife, sorry about that. But yeah, that's amazing to hear. On rewatchability, I'm definitely rewatching the Eternals. Oh, sorry. Leo says, I drank too much water and stepped out during the Kingo intro. When I saw the second time, I was disappointed in myself for missing that. Crash and Coyote, I'd rewatch Eternals 5 times before Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier, for me, has no rewatch factor because the Nick Fury fake death is irritating. I can see that. I love the first Cap, but the sequels are better. Yeah, I think Civil War is an awesome movie because it subverts the expectation of what a Marvel movie has to be in the third act. The Russo brothers were smart enough to strip back all of the killing of nameless, faceless drones and, disposable cannon fodder. We've got them in everything from Age of Ultron to Infinity War to every single one of them. But I love the fact that they didn't do that with Civil War, so that one's got a special place in my heart for that. Northern Crusaders is Cap Winter Soldier is greater than Infinity War. Guardians 2, Guardians 1, Iron Man. See, a lot of people like Guardians more than I do. And Martial Arts Film Freak, I think, just now hit the recency bias part. I'm not a fan of Winter Soldier, pretty middling to me. I actually really like the Fury plus Cap sort of chase sequences and stuff, but in general didn't like the back half of the film. I understand. I understand. Ooh, I don't like Guardians at all. Bottom half for me. Interesting. Rocket Raccoon is my spirit animal. Yeah, Rocket's great. Sweet, sweet rabbit. Sweet rabbit. Yeah, Batman should not be fighting Darkseid. That's the kind of works on the comic page but not in real life situation that I just I can't get on board with. But anyways, yeah, I appreciate y'all hanging out. I think this was a good conversation. It was really cool hearing what your favorites were. Time for Jeremy to pull up Tier Maker and do an MCU one. Yeah, man, maybe that'll happen in the future. Maybe that's something I'll do soon. I actually like the idea of that quite a bit. If you haven't clicked the like button yet and you're in here, what are you doing? What are you doing? Help your boy out. Do me a favor. Take a second to click that thumbs up button. Oh, careful with the eyes. Oh my God, I'm on fire, literally. Chris M, no, we cannot because he is a good actor. I think it's very hard to know. All right, well, y'all enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I'm gonna head out of here for now, get out and do some drone flying, but I hope to talk to you very soon. I'm Jeremy. Make sure you're subscribed to Movies Are Terrible over on Twitch. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe. That way you can stay up to date with all of the terrible content. And until next time, I'm Jeremy. Be terrible. Peace.